You finally made that last mortgage payment. The email confirmation hits your inbox, and for a moment, maybe an hour, maybe a whole weekend, you feel it. That exhale. That freedom you'd been chasing for years. But then something strange happens. A few months later, you're at dinner with friends. One of them mentions their investment portfolio just crossed a number that makes your stomach drop. Another talks about the rental property they picked up. And you're sitting there thinking, I did everything right. I was responsible. So why do I feel like I'm falling behind? That tight feeling in your chest isn't about the mortgage anymore. It's about something deeper. And here's what nobody told you when you were throwing every extra dollar at that house payment. The math behind owning your home outright often works against you. In some cases, dramatically so. I call it the equity trap, and it might be the most expensive feeling of security you'll ever buy. I'm Paul, and I've spent the last 5 years obsessing over why some people build wealth while others stay stuck even when they're doing all the right things. Partly because I needed to figure this out for myself. If you want to understand the real psychology behind money, not just tactics designed for people who are already rich, hit subscribe. It makes a real difference. And if this video ends up changing how you think about your home, your mortgage, or your entire wealth strategy, a like genuinely helps more than you'd think. Here's the mainstream narrative you've probably heard. Your whole life, pay off your house as fast as possible. Mortgage debt is bad debt. A paid-off home equals financial freedom. Your parents said it. Financial gurus preach it. It feels intuitively right. And for generations, it probably was. But here's what nobody really talks about. That advice was designed for a different economic reality. When your parents bought their home, mortgage rates and market returns lived in a completely different relationship. The math has changed. The psychology driving the advice hasn't. What happens when you aggressively pay down? Your mortgage is this. You convert liquid, flexible dollars into a liquid equity that earns you exactly 0% return. Stay with me here. Your home's value goes up or down based on the market, whether you owe $300,000 on it or nothing. That equity sitting there doesn't grow faster because you paid it off. It just sits there, locked behind a wall of bricks you can't easily access without selling or borrowing against it. Meanwhile, those same dollars invested in broad market index funds have historically grown at 7 to 10% annually, adjusted for inflation. This isn't about being irresponsible with debt. It's about understanding what your money could be doing for you, what it's doing stuck inside your walls. So why does paying off your home feel so good, even when the math says otherwise? This is where behavioral economics gets fascinating. Nobel Prize-winning psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky discovered something called loss aversion, the finding that humans feel the pain of losing something about twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Behavioral Finance found that loss aversion is even stronger when it comes to our homes, amplifying by an additional 20 to 30% compared to other assets. The fear of losing your home activates a primal survival mechanism. It's not just financial, it's existential. Think of it like this. Paying off your mortgage feels like building a fortress. Every extra payment is another stone in the wall between you and danger. Your brain registers it as safety, security, protection from the chaos outside. But here's the thing, you're not actually safer. You're just less flexible. If you lose your job with a paid-off house and no liquid savings, you still can't eat your equity. You can't pay for groceries with your garage. The bank doesn't care that you own your home if you can't cover property taxes. This isn't stupidity. This is a predictable neurological response to perceived threat. Our brains evolved to prioritize immediate security over long-term optimization that served us well on the savannah. It doesn't serve us well in modern financial planning. A Federal Reserve study from 2022 found that homeowners who aggressively paid down mortgages had, on average, 40% lower liquid savings than those with similar incomes who invested the difference. They felt more secure. They were actually more vulnerable. Now, Here's where this becomes really interesting, and where the real cost of the equity trap becomes impossible to ignore. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Meet Sarah and Marcus. Same age, 35. Same job, both earn $85,000 per year. Same house purchased for $350,000. With a $280,000 mortgage at 6.5% interest. Both can afford an extra $500 per month beyond their minimum payment. Sarah throws that $500 at her mortgage every single month. It feels responsible, safe. She'll have her house paid off in about 17 years instead of 30. Marcus takes a different approach. He makes the minimum payment and invests that $500 monthly in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Let's run the numbers over 20 years. Sarah, at year 17, owns her home outright. She has roughly $350,000 in home equity, assuming modest appreciation, and approximately $18,000 in investments from 3 years of contributions after payoff. Marcus, at year 20, still owes about $140,000 on his mortgage. But his investment account, at a conservative 8% average annual return, it's worth approximately $295,000. His net position, $210,000 more in accessible liquid, compound growth assets, plus he had flexibility every single month to redirect that money if he needed to. And here's the part that surprised me. If Marcus wanted to, he could write a check and pay off his remaining mortgage with his investments. Sarah can't reverse her decision. Her wealth is locked behind walls she'd have to sell or borrow against to access. Same income, same house, same discipline, dramatically different outcomes. And it goes even deeper than that. This isn't just about spreadsheets. The equity trap ripples into every corner of your life. Career choices. People with liquid investments can afford to take strategic risks starting a business, switching careers, waiting for the right opportunity. People with all their wealth and home equity stay stuck in jobs they hate because they can't afford a gap in income. Relationships, money fights are the leading predictor of divorce. When every spare dollar goes toward the mortgage. There's no buffer for unexpected expenses, no fund for shared experiences, no flexibility when life happens. Health decisions. A 2021 University of Michigan study found that financial flexibility was a stronger predictor of preventive healthcare usage than income level. People with accessible savings got checkups. People who felt house poor despite owning expensive homes delayed care. Generational impact. Your kids don't inherit your mortgage-free home while you're alive, but they could benefit from a college fund, a down payment gift, or watching you model financial flexibility rather than financial rigidity. The equity trap isn't just costing you money, it's costing you options. And options, as any investor will tell you, have enormous value. Here's what changed for me. 4 years. I thought wanting a paid-off house made me responsible, mature. It was the opposite of my parents. Financial chaos, and that felt like healing. But then I ran my own numbers. I realized I wasn't making a financial decision. I was making an emotional one. I was trying to buy safety that didn't actually exist while sacrificing growth that absolutely did. And honestly, that was a hard truth to sit with. This isn't about never paying off your home. It's about understanding why you want to, and whether that why is serving you or costing you. Here's the reframe that changed everything for me. Your home is not your best investment vehicle. It's your shelter. A paid-off home gives you lower monthly expenses, yes, but building liquid wealth gives you something more valuable. The ability to weather any storm without selling your shelter in a crisis. This isn't about deprivation or risky gambling with your future. It's about building what I call walk-away money. The kind of wealth that lets you make choices from strength, not desperation. Security isn't owning 4 walls free and clear. Security is having options no matter what happens to those walls. Okay, so let's get practical. Here's exactly how to do this. Step 1. Know your interest rate threshold. If your mortgage rate is below 6%, the math strongly favors investing over extra payments. Above 7%, paying down becomes more competitive. Between 6 to 7% is the gray zone where personal risk tolerance matters more. Write your number down. Know where you stand. Step 2. Build your liquid foundation first, before extra mortgage payments even enter the conversation. You need 3 to 6 months of expenses in accessible savings, not negotiable. This is your actual security, not equity. Step 3. Automate the alternative. Set up automatic investments for whatever amount you are considering throwing at your mortgage. Use a low-cost total market or S&P 500 index fund. Make the decision once, then let the system work. Step 4. Run your own 20-year projection. Use a simple compound interest calculator. Plug in your extra payment amount at 7 to 8% returns. See what it becomes. Then decide if that future number matters more to you than faster mortgage payoff. Make the choice with real numbers, not feelings. Step 5. Create your payoff later option. Here's the part most people miss. You can invest now and still pay off your mortgage later. Once your investments exceed your remaining balance, you have the choice. You keep optionality. Aggressive mortgage payoff eliminates that option forever. The goal isn't to carry debt forever. The goal is to build wealth strategically while maintaining flexibility and potentially paying off your home in one move from a position of abundance, not scarcity. And here's where I need to be direct with you. This strategy requires something most people struggle with: discipline. If you invest the difference but actually spend it on lifestyle inflation, you'll end up with no mortgage payoff and no investment portfolio. The worst of both worlds. 3 rules to protect yourself. Don't touch the invested money. It's not a vacation fund. It's your wealth engine. Treat it as locked as home equity mentally anyway. Don't use this as an excuse for other debt. We're talking about strategic mortgage management. It's not a green light for credit card balances or car loans. Know your own psychology. If you genuinely cannot sleep at night with a mortgage, even a mathematically optimal one, that psychological cost has real value. The best financial plan is one you'll actually follow. This isn't permission to be reckless. It's permission to be strategic. And here's what becomes possible when you are. Once you escape the equity trap, something shifts. Your investment account starts compounding. First, slowly, then noticeably. After 10 years, the gap between you and the aggressive mortgage payer becomes undeniable. After 20, it's generational wealth different. You start seeing opportunities instead of just threats. Real estate investments, business ventures, the ability to help family members without emptying your own cup. And here's the beautiful irony. You can still pay off your home whenever you want from a position of abundance, as a choice, not a desperate scramble. That's real financial freedom. Not just owned walls. Look, nobody's saying you have to optimize every dollar to the decimal point. Life isn't a spreadsheet. But if you've been grinding toward a paid-off home because you thought it was the responsible thing to do, it's because it's what your parents taught you. Because it feels safer. I want you to have permission to question it. Real security isn't about eliminating all debt. It's about building options, flexibility, the ability to respond to life instead of just reacting. Start small. Run your own numbers. Let the math inform your feelings, not the other way around. Your home is where you live. It doesn't have to be where your wealth goes to sleep. If this shifted something for you, share it with someone still trapped in the old thinking. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and your future.